that was an experience.
Not been to one of these in a while. Last time it was so busy I didn't really get a chance to look at many games. This time I got early bird and parked up and hoping to make a huge dent onto that N64 collection. First table, and look at all those Mario and Zeldas of price and quality. Oh, some GameCube, Shadow the Hedgehog. Not a great game. Do need it, however. Oh, he's found the Switch games. First bit of N64, and it's all Japanese cards. Not for me. PS5 discs. Ooh, I wonder how many people stopped collecting PS5 due to the recent announcements. A lot of GameCube games here that I don't own. Honestly, if I went straight for the GameCube immediately, I'd have bought a lot of these, as they aren't ones I'm seeing in local shops. First up though, N64. I see I'm definitely after N64 stuff, but honestly I very quickly discovered that my challenge of getting a huge percentage of the remaining library goes down in flames after looking at the first few stalls. A lot of Japanese, a lot of stuff I own, not much I need. A few minutes later and I can access the Nintendo Switch games. Honestly, a pretty decent selection all told. Interestingly enough, while I was looking, a lovely gentleman was telling me about a guy online who can get any Switch game for a £5 onto a flash card. Seems legit. Ah yes, some award-winning footage of the sports hall floor. Handful of box Game Boy games. Honestly, I wish I got in more with this. Wouldn't have minded that copy of Splits. Same with Banjo Pilot. Shame. Ooh, a new copy of GDA Trilogy on Switch for £60. Makes that £30 copy on Amazon look like an absolute steal, doesn't it? Mace the Dark Age. I skipped this one. Probably shouldn't have. Shantae, you say? Not something you see very often. Something I would love in the collection. Don't have the space. Some very nice 3DS consoles here. If I was collecting those, that Fire Emblem would be something definitely needed to put in the collection. But Gadget Races. £700. Complete though. Probably the rarest and most expensive PAL GameCube game. A holy grail if I ever did see one. And honestly, if I had known before going into the venue that this was here, I'd have amassed the money for this one. Alas, not today. Last time I was here, I bought some of these pictures from Ninty Media along with their Game Boy book. I've been following them ever since, and yep, definitely picked up another book. Absolutely lovely people. Artist Vendor, always on the lookout for more HoloLive things. Sadly not today. Nice Nico Robin keyring, however. Japanese guides! I would love these, but I can't read them. Better not. Honestly, this stall and the event itself had a lot of Japanese games. Always nice to see something a little bit different, isn't it? Well, a big bulging bag of spoils. Very nice. Let's get back to camp. Have a bonus. Have some pavement footage.
Home again, and oh god, Newcastle Gaming Market was interesting. Now, I'm no stranger to Comic Cons, anime conventions, SunnyCon and the like, and yeah, retro gaming markets are something completely different. Now, obviously, I'm very well used to the likes of NERG, the Northeast Retro Gaming, which used to be kind of like 50-50, 50% arcade machines, pinball machines, 50% stalls. So when I went last year, I was all for the Pokemon cards, and I would say probably about 50-50 was 50% was Pokemon cards, 50% was the game and stuff. Now I'm more into the games. I definitely saw the criticisms we've seen elsewhere, where it's kind of, it was probably, I'd say maybe 50% games, 30% kind of like artists and 3D printed and stuff like that, and 20% merch. And I'd say merch is kind of like, you know, plushes and Gunpla and anime figures and stuff like that, which is kind of what I expected. Obviously I got an early bird pass. I parked up about an hour earlier, so I was pretty much well in the queue. We went and got food and stuff like that, but yeah, the general queue vibe was really nice. Just want to say at this point, it was really nice meeting as many people as I could. So many people came up to me, just had a general chit chat, asked what I bought, just had a little general chit chat about the channel, which is always really appreciated. I always happy to see when people are happy to see the channel. I've had a few people message me and stuff like that, but it's nice to see it in person. And over the day I've had a lot of very pleasant conversations. Like I said, that guy who was telling me about you can get all of the Switch games for on £5 each onto a flash cart, which was a interesting conversation, a strange one, maybe in kind of like a place that was kind of had a lot of physical media, but it was pleasant enough. And Ninty Media, had a little conversation with them. Absolute fantastic guys. Anybody as well, I've spoke to a lot of the vendors and stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic. It wasn't really much to really complain about. It was very busy. Some of the kind of smells and stuff like that is stuff I would kind of expect to see kind of at Comic-Con. It's kind of concerning when people are walking in at, like, you know, 11 o'clock and the smells are there. Fair enough, 2 o'clock, because it was very hot and it was very sweaty in there. Obviously it was busy, so it was very difficult to actually look at stuff eventually. Once 12 o'clock hit, it was just absolutely jam-packed. But one of the things that kind of I kind of felt annoyed me a little bit was, like, when you were trying to get into stuff and you couldn't get into stuff and people were standing there just checking CEX prices. I mean, I saw, like, there was a couple, like, one of them was like standing there with a big backpack on, and the other one was kind of like standing there just checking CEX prices, and they were having a massive, big vocal conversation about CEX prices right in front of the vendor. And it was like, you know, I mean, everybody knows to check CEX. Well, step back, let other people see. But it wasn't really something that I would kind of say was kind of, I was unexpected about. Apart from that, it was kind of what I expected. It was enjoyable, it was fun, it was nice to see people, nice to go around and see some games that I don't normally see. And let's have a look and see what I got. So first up, Game Boy. Game Boy is a thing that I didn't really go for much in terms of what I was looking for. I was like, oh, if I see something I want to pick up, I'll pick it up. But Game Boy is usually one I always kind of leave as the bottom rung. But I did pick up 2 Game Boy games. One was Parasol Stars, Rainbow Island 2. So yeah, this is actually one I've been wanting for a while. I have fond memories of playing Parasol Stars and Rainbow Island on the arcades back in the day. Used to go to I think it was like Haggerston Castle or something like that, and they used to have an arcade machine with Rainbow Islands, I believe, or a Parasol Star, one of the two. I used to play it a lot. Never played it since, and it never seems to crop up on any of these Taito collections, like for the Evercade or the Switch. So yeah, I'm happy I picked that one up. That wasn't too badly priced. It was pretty much a little bit cheaper than what you would expect on CEX and eBay. Another one was Donald Duck Quack Attack, bought from a little smaller shop. It was only £3. I had £3 in my pocket, and I was just like, you know what, it's always nice to get a nice little small platformer game, nothing too special indeed. So N64, now N64, when I went in, was, I expected to be able to just go out and buy a significant portion of what was left from my N64 collection. I've got about 50 games, and a lot of the games are fairly common, so I thought. A lot of the games, it's like Snowboard Kids, like World's Not Enough and stuff like that. Just didn't see them. I was kind of hoping a little bit more boxed. The box was kind of like your usual suspects, you know, like Mario or Zelda and stuff like that. But I did manage to get NASCAR 99. It's NASCAR on the N64. We don't really have NASCAR. I mean, this was £12, a little bit more than CX, but you know what? I was just like, it's not one I'm going to come across in CEX often, so I picked it up. Another N64 game I picked up was Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Now this is one I've been after for quite some time, and it's always one that you just can't find a good front of the box. Now, of course, I end up having to put mine like kind of like that, like facing the end bit, but you know what? It's one of those ones where finding the front of the box in a good condition is somewhat uncommon because all of the box is black. And yeah, I mean, it's not in the best condition whatsoever, but you know what? It's got the instructions and it was slightly cheaper than CEX, and this is one that has been slightly annoying me when I've been hunting for games. It's been hard to find a good one, either it's overpriced or it doesn't have the manual or it doesn't have the cover is absolutely destroyed. So yeah, finally managed to check this one off the list. I'm really happy for it because this is one of those ones that a lot of people hold in high regard. Never played it. I'm looking forward to doing so. Another one I picked up was Mortal Kombat 4. Now this is one that I always kind of wanted, and I was just like, oh, if I see it, I'll get it. Price was pretty okay. It was pretty much the same as CEX. And yeah, the condition of the box is kind of okay. It's not, again, it's not like perfect. There is a little kind of rip on here, but I mean, that was factored in when I obviously bought it. The game itself runs fine, looks fine, no blemishes on it, and the manual is also included, which is what you want. Not one that you see too often, and should I decide that I'm going to be upgrading my entire collection of N64 to boxed ones, this is one that I'm happy to get sooner rather than later. Honestly, Mortal Kombat's not a franchise that I've really delved into. I do have the Sub-Zero one on the N64, which is awful, but fighting games growing up were never really my jam. Never really bothered with Mortal Kombat, never really bothered with Street Fighter, King of Fighters, so I don't have the nostalgia. But this one, I've had a go on it, and I'm very much enjoying what I'm seeing. GameCube, and a nice little stack here, and yeah, so GameCube, I'm obviously trying to get as big a set as I can, and I kind of feel I'm going to be marking off that full collection because I have bought a few here that I wasn't overly fussed about originally, but I kind of thought if I go for a full collection, these are going to be harder to find. So I bought a few games, and to be honest, all of these were cheap. They were all pretty affordable, and I think I paid under CEX value for every single one of these. First up is Enter the Matrix. So this one I got in a bundle with the next game, and you know what, it's one that you see everywhere. I think I see the Player's Choice version of this one more often than not. The 2-disc game, so it's always useful to have a second 2-disc box just in case. But yeah, Enter the Matrix. Heard weird things about this one. Not particularly great, not particularly bad. Just kind of, it's a game that exists and probably not a game that people are talking about very much in 2026. Another game, this is the other one I got bundled with it, and this is the one that I kind of said, yeah, I'm going to be kind of, if I go for a full collection, this one's going to be a harder one to find. Mary-Kate and Ashley, Sweet 16, License to Drive. It's a real game for real girls. That's right, a real game for real girls. Of course, me being a man, had to kind of get a real game for real girls so I can understand the concept. It's rubbish. It's a Mario Party kind of a driving game. It's very not good at all, but I had very, very low expectations for it. And this is missing the manual, but I got it at such a cheap price. It was kind of worth it. It was, I mean, it pops up on CEX every now and again. It's not an expensive one, but when it pops up on eBay, even without the manual, it's very expensive. This is one I knew was going to be awkward to find if I go for a full set. I'll get it now. One that I did really want to try though, and this is one that I didn't pick up back in the day. Freedom Fighters. Now, I believe this is kind of like the precursor to stuff like the Saboteur and, you know, like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. And a little bit like State of Decay, where you obviously had like your main character and you can recruit people and kind of take back the things from the establishment and stuff like that. I had a little go of it and it very much impressed me, and I was just like, I'm going to go back to this one. Looking forward to delving into this one a little bit deeper. Another one that I picked up, and this was one of the first games I saw, The Sum of All Fears. Now, I actually have this in the Game Boy Advance, and I really like it. I feel I'd consider it to be a little bit of a hidden gem on the Game Boy Advance. GameCube one, we'll see how it goes. It looks like another over-the-shoulder shooting game. You know, we've got so many of these Tom Clancy kind of games as well, so yeah, see how that one holds up. And I'm quite happy I picked it up because it was one that if I ever thought I would want it in the collection. Another one, and this one actually completes a little bit of a subset of mine, and that is Super Monkey Ball Adventure. Now, I got Super Monkey Ball a few months ago back in Sunderland, and in an unseen video I did actually pick up Super Monkey Ball 2. So now I have Super Monkey Ball Adventure. I've got them all. This is more of an adventure based game rather than like a, you know, like the usual kind of labyrinth puzzle kind of game. And yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this one a little bit more and seeing how it is. Complete, this is one of the more expensive games that I picked up, but it is complete with manual and everything that you want to have in there. And lastly for GameCube, this is a game as soon as I saw it, I wanted it. Wallace and Gromit in Project Zoo. That's right, Feathers McGraw is back out and it's up to Wallace and Gromit to stop him. You know, I started this and it's a bit, pretty much a traditional 3D platformer with guns, a bit like Ratchet and Clanky, I would probably argue. But yeah, it's Wallace and Gromit. What could possibly go wrong? A lot, I suppose. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a haul video without buying stuff for the Nintendo Switch. And I'm going to be honest, they had Switch 2 games there. Very early on when I was wandering around, I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a Switch 2 game. There's nothing here, I'm going to buy a Switch 2 game. I didn't, don't worry. I did pick up two, and this first one is Revita. Another indie darling, you know me, I say a game that I've never heard of that looks slightly interesting. Go in the collection. Red Arc Games. Now, it is sadly missing the little booklet, which I'm assuming came as well, and yeah, it was a little bit, it's pretty much the same price as CEX, but you know what, it's a hidden gem. It's very well regarded. A twin stick shooter indie platformer game. I had a little go on it and I was just like, this is really good. How difficult is it? When I looked, oh yeah, it's going to be a very difficult game. I was just like, maybe some other time we'll play this. Another Switch game I got, and this was a new and sealed one, Disgaea 6 Unrelenting Edition. This was at a decent enough price. This was cheaper than it was on Amazon for brand new, and it completes the Disgaea subset. This is actually a subset I've been wanting to get. Disgaea 6 is probably the only one I don't have. Of course, I'm pretty sure they've just announced a new one as well. But yeah, I'm happy to have this in the collection. I don't mind paying what they charge for it. Like I said, it was cheaper than Amazon, a little bit more than CX, but it was brand new. It's got all of the extra gubbins inside. And it's also got Hololive DLC. That's right, you know that's why I bought it. Hololive DLC. Yeah, an absolutely massive games haul, and there was something else, something I wanted before I went in, and I mentioned talking to them, the lovely folk at Ninty Media, and I bought their NES book. Now, previously when I went to the one last year, apart from Pokemon cards, I bought a Game Boy book along with a lot of artwork, and that Game Boy book was life changing to the point that I actually made me want to start collecting games again. So Cuppa Quest as a whole probably wouldn't exist without the Game Boy book, and I kind of had to say that. I kind of had to thank them for their hard work, because these books, yeah, we see a lot of these books, like, you know, from like Bitmap and stuff like that, but these are all like personal accounts, personal like memories of playing these NES games. I didn't have an NES growing up. I started with the Super Nintendo. The Game Boy one just resonated with me. It was something that I hadn't kind of felt like before when reading a factual book. A lot of personalised takes along with a lot of factual information. If you're ever at a retro gaming event, I would strongly recommend checking out Ninty Media's stuff. Their books are absolutely class, and I'm not being paid to say that. I genuinely believe it. It's honestly some of the best things I've actually bought from a convention. And they've said they've got the NES book, they've got Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Advance books. They're doing a Pokemon one, and he said a DS one's getting planned, and I think Super Nintendo and N64 is getting planned, and a Mega Drive one. So if you aren't part of the Nintendo side, Mega Drive might be for you. Honestly, I'm probably going to get them all. Like I said, never owned a Mega Drive either, so yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that out. Definitely check them out. So yeah, Newcastle gaming market. Ups and downs. Like I said, I bought plenty of things. I spent within my means. I spent less than what I'd taken out. There was a lot of expensive games, a lot of cheap games. I think there was just about stuff for everybody. If you can put up with the crowds, I would strongly recommend going. And honestly, I had a really good time. Thanks again to everybody who stopped me, who said hello, who just talked about the channel, even just chatted about games and stuff like that. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thanks for coming, and thanks again for staying. If you do like this, stay tuned to the channel. There's a ton of Switch related content, and I'm going to get back to the hunt for some more GameCube games, because I think we're at the point now, I might have to go for a full collection. Same for N64. 50 games to go, less than 50. We've got 3 huge hitters. I think it's time to go on travels and start getting those completed, isn't it? See you next time.